Welcome to the Art Lady channel. Today I am with a lot of friends. They are 6 years old, some maybe even 5 years old. It's a kindergarten group in Florida. And we're going to have an art talk about a wave painting by the great Japanese artist Hokusai. Can you say Hokusai?
Hokusai.
That's kind of a fun name. Let's say it again. Hokusai.
Hokusai.
Cool. You did a great job. His first name, let me show you a picture of him. His first name is Katsushika. Can you say Katsushika?
Katsushika.
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 Now let's say it, the whole name. Wait for me to finish. Katsushika Hokusai.
Katsushika Hokusai.
Wonderful. He painted, or actually he did a woodblock print of this wave, and a lot of people know this wave picture by the name The Great Wave, but its real name is called Under the Wave at Kanagawa. Under the Wave at Kanagawa. And what it is it's a wood block print. Can you say wood block?
Woodblock.
A wood block. Now let's think, what would a wood block print be? Well, if we think of a stamp, we know what a stamp is. And I'm talking a rubber stamp. You place it into, it's a rubber device with a printer pattern on it, and you dip it into ink or press it into the ink pad, and then you place it on your paper and it makes an image. Well, that's the same thing as this print here, but this is a wood block print. And a wood block print is made from, what is this? Wood. A block of wood. That's why it's called a wood block print. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, a print is something that you can create copies of. So when I place ink on the woodblock print with a tool called a brayer, I can then make more copies. I can print this and make more images of what I've made. And I have carved, this is a picture of a house. Can you see the house?
Yes.
I've carved this house out of the wood block, and then I placed black ink on top and made copies. I made many copies, and I gave some of these copies to my friends to share. Well, that's what Hokusai did almost 300 years ago. He lived in 1760, and he died when he was 90 years old. He lived a long life, and during his lifetime, he made 30,000 different pictures and drawings and prints. He made a lot of art to share with his friends. This is the wave off Kanagawa, the Great Wave. And let's think about it. Why would he call it the Great Wave? Look at that. If we look closely at this painting, it is quite a large wave, isn't it? Let's look close. Look at that. But let's look in the wave. Let's look in the wave and see what we see in the wave. We're seeing little tiny boats. Can you see the boats?
No. Not yet. Oh yeah.
Small boats.
Oh yeah. I see him.
And who's on the boats? People. Wow. If I tell you this is a picture of men that lived in a town which is now called Tokyo. And when they lived in the 1700s and early 1800s, Tokyo was a fishing village, a very poor fishing village at the time this print was made. So what do you think these men are doing that live in the fishing village? Why are they on a boat? They're sailing, and where are they sailing to? Maybe another island. What do you think they're sailing for? Why? Yes?
Trying to catch fish.
Exactly. They're trying to catch fish. When Hokusai lived in this village at the time he painted, or he carved this painting of the Great Wave, the little Tokyo Bay at that time was fished out. So the fishermen would have to go offshore quite a ways into the ocean. And they had to go and look for fish in other areas. Let me show you a map of Japan. That's where Hokusai was from. This is the large country of China. You ever heard of China? We're in Florida, so it's on the other side of the world. Look here, and here's Japan. Japan is what?
An island.
Exactly, an island. And Tokyo is on this side of the island. Look at that. So what's all this? Water, and what do you call this large mass of water?
Ocean.
The ocean, exactly. So the men are out in the great ocean. And what's happening here? Wow, let's look at the men. Look how small they are. The men are smaller than my fingernail, aren't they?
Yeah.
Then look at this. If you're smaller than my fingernail and you're right here, what would you say this is?
A wave. A wave.
What kind of wave?
A wave.
A huge, great wave. If you were on this boat, just imagine, what would you be thinking right now? Pretend that you are the fisherman on this boat. And look what you see coming at you. What are you thinking?
I want to go on the wave.
You want to ride the wave.
Yeah, I think so.
How would you feel right now? How do you think these men are feeling? They're fishermen.
Scared.
What did you say back there?
Scared.
They may be scared, frightened. If you were one of these fishermen and had to go out every day and fish, and you saw these giant waves, and you still had to go out every day, you would be very what? Knowing you're facing, frightened sometimes, but knowing that you're facing these waves, knowing the waves are going to be there every day. But to get in that boat, you'd have to be very careful. And what about brave?
Hey, I said that.
You said brave? Good job. So the men, so we could say by looking at this piece of art, the men in this boat, they are very brave to face the waves off Tokyo Bay every day, out in the great ocean, aren't they? Now, let's look closely at the wave. Let's look closely. The white part of the wave is called, these could be white caps. Some people call them white caps. It's the froth of the wave, you could say. It's the fluffy white part of it. It's the top of it, the white cap of the wave. But look at the way that Hokusai drew the lines. How are they shaped? What do they remind you of? Yes? Kind of like a banana shape. Do these lines look friendly Would you say yes or no?
No.
No, I don't get the friendly feeling either. If I were making just frothy white caps, I probably would have, when I look at waves myself, I would have probably done some curvier lines in here. He chose to make these banana shapes, as somebody would say, or like backwards letter C's. But what else do they look like? Yes? Kind of like melted down claws. Claws. Does anybody see that these are kind of look like claws coming down?
No. Yes.
It's kind of like hooked. Look. It kind of looks hooked, claw-like. And there's lots of them. And they're reaching over. What are they reaching over for? The boat. So it almost looks like this wave is coming down to land on the men, doesn't it? It could possibly. Hokusai is showing that the wave is what? This giant wave is what? Big. Yes, because the size. He made the wave really big. Strong. Powerful.
There might be a storm.
It could be a storm out to sea that caused this giant wave. The wave is powerful, isn't it?
Yes.
And the wave and the oceans are part of what? The sky. What is all that? Sky, wave, oceans, trees. The wave is part of... What is the ocean, the sky? It's part of, yes?
Ocean.
The ocean. It's part of nature. So the wave is part of nature. This Hokusai is trying to tell the people that the powers of nature are, look, this is a painting, a woodblock showing the power of nature versus man. And the man's courage and will, the will to survive. These men have to go out on the fishing boats every day to bring back fish for who?
The men.
The men bring fish back to who?
The people.
The people of the village. And so it's the forces of nature against the will to survive. Hokusai is sending us this message that man will survive and survive nature. They do this every day. Now in this next lesson, we're going to actually draw a great wave like Hokusai. And we will be putting in our own wave. And this will be drawn, the next lesson that we'll do is for kindergarten students. So you can stay tuned and look up kindergarten, great wave, and you can draw a wave with us. I hope you enjoyed this art talk on the great wave.